Hey guys, Mr. Bowman here. Today's learning objective is in kind of the pinky whitey colored pen, which I'm trying out for today. And we are learning to add and subtract fractions. So the key word, fractions. So we've learned how to add decimals in a previous video. We've learned how to deal with percentages. We're just going to wrap off our number skills with fractions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get into a couple easier questions and we're going to shift over to the most complicated type of adding and subtracting fractions that I can think of. But let's just recap a little bit. So when we have a fraction, let's say 1/3, we must remember that top part, that is always called the numerator. And that bottom part, well, that's the denominator. So you may hear me refer to the numerator and denominator. The numerator is the top, denominator is the bottom. So let's go through a couple of the more simple questions that I want us to go over. So 1/8 plus 2/8. So this is a case or an example where they have the same denominators. And what we can do here is we can just add the top numbers together. So over there, we'll have 3/8. And what we do there is whenever the denominator is the same, we merge them together. And that's basically our goal with fractions. It's always to manipulate or change fractions to get similar denominators. So let's have a look at another example. So let's have a look at 1/4 plus 1/8. So we can see here that 4 and that 8, they've got different denominators. So we need to manipulate or change a little bit to get that. And what we're going to do is we're going to do that by timesing the first fraction by 2. Because if we times that 4 by 2, that's going to become 8. But the only issue is we have to times the top by 2 as well. So we're going to times the top and the bottom by 2. To change our fraction. So that's going to become 2/8 plus 1/8. And all of a sudden, if you've noticed, that equation now looks very, very similar to the first question we did. So the denominators are the same. That means we can add them together. So the bottom is going to stay the 8s, and that means we've actually got 3/8. So that was a quick little recap on kind of more simplistic or basic fraction principles. Now let's ramp it up. Let's find a way to add and subtract difficult fractions. And what I'm going to write on the board is I'm going to write something called the cross multiplying method. And some of us may also remember it as the criss-cross smiley face method. And I'll show you how that last one gets remembered and how that works. So let's have a look at another example. So let's have a look at, maybe you got 2/3 of a pizza and someone's giving you 1/2 of a pizza. How many pizzas would you have? So we can see here, well, we can't times that by 2 because that'll get us to 4. That's too much. What we do here is we do a crisscross smiley face method. So what I'm going to do is we're going to start by getting a common denominator. So we're going to times those bottom two together. So we're going to go first fraction plus the second fraction equals our answer. So if we times them together, so that 3 times 2 gets us to 6, and that 2 times the other one, that's going to get us to 3. So we've changed the denominators both to 6 by doing that. And because we've done that, we now need to do the cross method. So we need to times that 2 by the opposite denominator. So that's going to be 4. And again, the other way around, we need to times that 1 by the opposite, which is going to be 3. And hopefully you can see there why that's called the crisscross smiley face method. And once we've done that, we can then add together the numbers. We got the same denominator, so it means we can add them together. So it's going to be over 6. And we've actually got 7/6 of our pizza. Let's do another example. Let's try to think of an even harder one. Let's go 7/8 times 2 over 3 again. So we're going to start off. We know we're going to be changing our fractions around. So we've got our two fractions. We're going to times the bottom two together. 8 times 3, well, that's going to become 24. So the denominator of both of those fractions will be 24. We then do the crisscross part of it. So we go down. So that's 7. That's going to be multiplied by the opposite, which is 3. And that 2, that's going to be multiplied by the opposite, which is 16. Because we have the same denominators, we can add together the tops. 21 plus 16, well, that's going to come to 37, and that's going to be divided by 24. And if you can, you should be looking to simplify your fractions at the end, but it doesn't look like we can simplify that one there. And let's do one more example of the crisscross smiley face method, which is the main bit that we're focusing on today. So let's try we've used 3 heaps. Let's try 4 over 9 times 3 over 2. So first step of our crisscross smiley face, let's do the smile. So we're going to times those two together. 9 times 2 is 18. So that means the bottom of our fraction will both be 18. I've also just noticed I've written a multiplication sign here. Of course, that's meant to be addition because we do use a different method for multiplication. So we've done that. We've done the smiley part of it. We now need to do the crisscross method part of it. So that's 4 times 8. So 4 times 2, that becomes 8. And that's 3 times 9, which becomes 27. We're going to add those together, and that becomes 35 over 18. And we've got our third example. So hopefully we can really see that smiley face part of it come up in there. And what I'm quickly going to do is we focus on addition. So every question here was addition. What I'm quickly going to do is I'm going to move our working from the left-hand side, and I'm going to go through 2 subtraction examples, but I think you'll find the subtraction examples, the method is almost identical to addition. So I think we'll catch on with those really quickly. So let me pause the video. If you haven't written down those examples and those approaches, please pause this video and do that as well. Okay guys, I'm back. Hopefully you did get those examples down because the examples are really important, particularly when they show the way we're doing it. So what I've done is I've switched pen colors so we can see I've got like an orangey ready pen at the moment. And we're going to get into only 2 subtraction examples. It is the exact same method that we just used. So let's say maybe you've got 7/8 of a pizza and your friend, they take away 1/3 of that pizza. How much of that pizza do we have left over? So that 3 and the 7, let's do the smiley face part of it. So that comes to 24, and we're going to go minus because there's a minus sign, and we're going to set up our other fraction. We then do the cross method. So again, we're going to start off at the 7. So that's 7 times the 3. That's going to get us to 21. And that 1 times the 8, that's going to get us to 8. So we've got 21 24ths minus 8 24ths. So what we're going to do is we're going to go 21 minus 8. That gives us to 13. And that denominator, that stays the same. Awesome. So you can see very, very similar method to addition. Okay, let's go through one more example, one more of subtraction, and then we're done and we're going to get into some more questions. So let's say we've got 11 eighths. Oh, sorry, we've been using 8 heaps. Let's say 11 sixths. And we're going to subtract 4 fifths from that. How much would we have left over? Well, let's have a look. So again, let's start off with the smiley part of it. So that's the 6 and the 5. So they're going to be multiplied together. So that's going to become 30. And then we're going to minus the other fraction as well. But we don't know what the numerators are of those yet. Okay, let's go the other way around. So let's start off that 11. We need to do our smiley face. 11 times 5, 55. And then we've got to do it the other way around. 4 times 6, that's 24. We now need to simplify or do the final steps of our one. So 55 minus 24, well, that's going to come to 31. Feel free to double check that math if you're not confident with a calculator to make sure you're not doing a silly mistake. And that is over 30. So it looks like we've got just over 1 with 1 extra 30th of whatever that is. Okay, guys, hopefully you found this video useful. We focused on the crisscross smiley face method, also known as the cross multiplying method. We did heaps of addition questions, and we finished off with 2 subtraction questions just to identify that the subtraction method is the same as the addition method. Okay, let's get into some questions.